Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Kashif Kamran and I welcome you all to a very important session for Audit and Assurance exam, the FAT exams in December 2022, as this session will guide you about how you should be devising a study strategy inside 30 days. Now, inside 30 days, this is a very crucial time when you're preparing yourself for the AA exam or the FAT exams, considering the difficulty level of the AA exam in terms of the low passing rates. Now, within these last 30 days ahead of your exams on the 5th of December, what is an ideal study strategy and what sort of a study strategy you should put in place which give you a greater hope for success in the upcoming exams? Let's start to investigate the right study strategy. Now, first of all, the more important thing is your self-appraisal. As a student, you need to sit down and you need to self-investigate yourself. Not just yourself, your challenges, your limitations, your obstacles, so that you are able to devise a study strategy which is better and much appropriate in your circumstances. Now, there is no one right definition of a good strategy because every student needs to analyze himself or herself where he or she is standing today. How much course have you covered? How much have you prepared? Are you giving the AA paper for the first time or you are repeating the AA paper? How many attempts have you given to the AA paper? Are you giving any other paper with the AA paper in December? Are you a full-time student or you're doing job somewhere? How much time can you give over a week or over a day? This all matters when you're devising the right strategy of what you should be looking for inside 30 days left for the AA December 22 exams. Now, this is extremely important because you need to realize that the study strategy which you will formulate for yourself will be the wise approach. Because you know yourself well, you know your position, you know where you are standing today, and how would you accomplish the remaining syllabus which is left untouched. Now, try to identify your wise study strategy within the next 24 hours once you watch this video, because that would really set the tone of how would you go about preparing yourself within the next 30 days. So a critical evaluation of yourself, your challenges, your obstacles, your limitation, where you are standing today in terms of your study approach or in terms of how much you have studied and how much is still remaining to boost your confidence ahead of the December 22 exams. Now, I will be sharing some uh, examples of areas which you should focus on when you're devising your own strategy, and that will really help you to blend your strategy with my strategy and then develop a strategy which looks like a more successful strategy. Now, what is the right strategy, or what should be the ingredients of the right strategy once you have analyzed your obstacles or once you've analyzed your challenges and once you know where you are and how much more you need to do? The first thing is that you should have a command on the key areas, the core areas of the AA paper, which I will be sharing with you shortly. The second part of your exam strategy for AA is articles which you should be reading and the articles which really add value to your preparation. I'm not recommending all articles. I'm recommending few of them shortly, which will really add value to the specific areas which are key examinable areas in the AA paper. Third, my recent webinars, which are available on my YouTube channel. I'll be sharing a link of that. And that is extremely important to fine tune yourself and how you look at the AA paper. So those recent webinars and the watching of those recent webinars would really be adding value to your preparation. Practice and mock exam, that holds the key. Now, how much you should be practicing, how many past papers you should be investigating inside the 30 days remaining, and how many mocks you should be attempting. I'll be coming to that later. Fifth, examiner reports, a critical evaluation of examiner reports and what exactly examiner report can do and how many examiner reports should be part of your study strategy for the next 30 days or less than 30 days you have. And the final slice of this pie chart, the sixth one, is my upcoming December 22 webinar, which will be there on my YouTube channel by the 20th of November, which will really be beneficial for all of you ahead of your December exams. So I believe these are 6 areas which makes this accumulative pie chart. And this is in holistic areas where you should be focusing on within the next 30 days as you sit down and devise your right study strategy. Now let's open each of the areas within this pie chart and let's start to investigate what should you be focusing on. Let's first start with controlling the key areas. Now, when you look at the AA paper, primarily the section A and B, or more focused, the section B, which is the 70% of the paper and contributes significantly in your success and failure. We know you have a constructed response area, section B, where you have 3 questions, 30, 20, and 20. We know there is critical areas which comes in section B, leaving aside ethical issues and safeguard. That is a more common area in section A. In section A, when you get the multiple choice questions or multiple task questions, some of them in some exam settings are around ethics. And ethics is an area where you should be good at knowing the threats, identifying the threats, ticking the right threat in the context given by the examiner, and then ticking the right safeguards. So ethical issues and safeguard has become more of an area which is more popular in section A, and you mostly get a multiple task question and a case study around ethical issues and safeguard in the section A of the paper, and you should be stronger. But then when you look at the section B of the paper, risk and risk responses, the audit risk and the audit risk responses is the favorite area of your examiner. Mostly the section B starts with a question on audit risk and response to audit risk. Examiner asking you to identify 6 or 8 and you need to go down with it. Another very favorite area of the AA examiner is a question on internal controls. Now, there is so much diversity when it comes to the question on internal controls. Examiner asking you a question where you need to identify the deficiencies in the internal control and then give a recommendation. Or examiner asking you identify and explain the key controls. And for every key control, you need to explain the test of control which you should be performing to ensure that the key control is operating effectively. So a question on either key controls or deficiency in the internal control systems, recommendations, test of control, or even a question asking you identify and explain the direct controls within a case study, and then give a test of control that how would you ensure that the direct control is operating effectively. So direct control, key control, weaknesses in the internal control, recommendations, test of control. So a lot goes into internal control. But again, that is an area which you definitely find in section B, and it's more like a regular static area in every single exam sitting of AA. Then audit procedures, the substantive procedures, we know they come very regular in section B. Examiner asking you to recommend the substantive procedures in different areas. Examiner gives you the shorter case studies, and in every shorter case study, you need to identify 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 substantive procedures. So examiner gives you smaller case studies, and for every small case study, examiner wants you to develop the audit procedures like 4, 5, or 3, 4 for every part of the case study. Now that's one of a regular feature of section B. Even in section A, examiner at times put an MTQ or a multiple task question around substantive procedures which are more assertion oriented. Examiner might ask you whether this particular procedure is verifying which assertion or which of the following assertion. So examiner might test your knowledge of assertions in the section A, where examiner might give you a procedure and then ask you, is it addressing the assertion of completeness, true or false? Or examiner giving you a procedure and then asking you which of the following assertions are met with this procedure. So more assertion-based testing comes in section A, but in the section B, it's more about developing the procedures in the context of a case study. Audit report. Another very important area in section B, a question on audit report, but we know the weightage of marks for audit report is not very significant. It's like 5 to 10. Examiner asking you explain the impact on the audit report or explain the impact on the opinion. That's the maximum the examiner is asking for maximum 5 marks mostly. In rare cases 10. But the question starts with something like going concern, or a question starts with something like a subsequent event, and then that question goes down to the impact on the audit report. And we know subsequent events and going concern is another very favorite area of examiner in the section B of the paper. So these are key areas where you should ask a question to yourself, how much prepared you are, how much prepared you are for ethical issues and safeguards, risk and risk responses, internal controls, the types of areas which comes in internal control, audit procedures, audit report, going concern, and subsequent event, because these are the key areas which really impact the section B. Ethical issue impact the section A, and audit procedure equally impact the section A and section B. So you need to investigate yourself where you are standing in terms of these key areas and how would you refine them, improve them within the next 30 days you have for the AA exams. Now, articles on the website for AA, which can add value around the core areas and around the areas which gets regularly tested in section A and section B. Now, I've chosen the articles from the website and I've taken the titles as it is. So it will be easier for you to search them on the website. And I can just show you that website as well. If you go to the technical articles for AA, you will find these technical articles which are divided into syllabus areas A, B, C, D, E. So it's easy finding them. And I've just picked the articles by the title given on the website, like, for example, laws and regulations. So you can easily find them with the title given in my presentation. So laws and regulation is an important article which add values because we know examiner at time test your knowledge about what are management and auditor responsibility for adherence or compliance with laws and regulation, or what are auditor responsibility if the auditor identifies a non-compliance with laws and regulation during the conduct of the audit. So responsibilities of the auditor and the management, non-compliance and how a non-compliance is reported by the auditor. So it really add value to the knowledge section, which comes in section B of the paper. So it is important that you read it. Audit risk, again, this is an article which really add value to how you write an audit risk answer. When you are explaining an audit risk, what sort of mistakes you do, because a lot of time the student identify the audit risk from a case study, but when they go down explaining the audit risk, they're not explaining. Just 1 minute. When they're explaining the audit risk, they're not explaining the impact of the audit risk on the financial statement. They're not telling examiner what will be understated or what will be overstated. Or if it is difficult to identify what is understated or overstated, at least telling the financial statements could be materially misstated. But in certain areas, because you're dealing with a specific situation of an accounts payable or inventory or receivable, then you are very sure that receivable could be overstated or inventory could be overstated or payables could be understated, because you're working in specific areas of the financial statement. But just for example, if the company does not have an internal audit department, then it's very difficult picking what will be under and overstated. But yes, because there is no internal audit department, that means that the monitoring of the controls will be weaker, or the oversight of the controls will be weaker, and there are greater chances that the controls are not operating effectively, which increases the risk of material misstatement in the broader financial statement. So picking the impact. Number two is to explain what is the risk. If you're dealing with inventory and you're dealing with the situation of inventory in the case study, not just saying that inventory could be overstated, but also telling what's the risk in inventory. In a case study, it could be the risk of wrong valuation. So wrong valuation, or uh, measuring or valuing the inventory wrongly at a higher of cost rather than at a lower of cost is the risk. So telling the risk and then the impact. So at times when you're explaining, the students are not telling the risk and impact in their 1 mark answer. So you need to be very sure that you read this article which is around audit risk, because this article really adds value to the way you write an audit risk answer and the responses to audit risk. So this is a key article because this is one of the question you get in section B, and how to add value. Once I do my December webinar, I will be illustrating that how you should be writing an audit risk answer and how you can write an excellent audit risk answer which can fetch you 1 out of 1. The next third one, audit of wages. Audit of wages will really help you to define substantive procedure. If a substantive procedure comes on payroll, this article will help you with substantive procedure. This article will also help you with weaknesses in the internal control system. So if you get a payroll system in exam, and you want to investigate the weaknesses in the payroll system, this article will help you. And this article will also help you with performing the test of controls on the wage system. And we know the payroll system is quite a regular feature of the double exams. Payroll system can come in any context. It can come in the context of substantive procedure, weaknesses, or test of control. So if you read this article, it will really add value primarily to your section B of the paper. Audit of assertions. This article will refine your knowledge about assertions, completeness, existence, rights and obligation, and what are their meanings and how they relate with your procedures. This will really help you in the section A of the paper where you get the multiple task questions on assertions. Audit sampling, knowledge-based area. Examiner asking you explain the different ways through which you sample, or explain the difference between statistical and non-statistical sample, or examiner asking you definition of a sampling method, or examiner asking you any knowledge about sampling. So sampling is a knowledge area. So any 4 to 5 marks question on sampling, this article would really be beneficial again in section B. Audit report, we know that's a core area in section B, knowing the types of opinions, knowing what is a key audit matter, knowing what is an emphasis of a meta paragraph, knowing what is an other meta paragraph, knowing the qualified opinion, adverse opinions, knowing the situations where they must be put into context. So if you want a clarity of your knowledge on audit report, if you have any misunderstanding with your knowledge on audit report, this article would really address that in the section B. Going concern, another section B area, a clarity on going concern, when to use the MURGC paragraph in the audit report and when not to, and what are going concern audit procedures, what sort of audit procedure the auditor can do on going concern, what is the auditor responsibility for going concern, and the knowledge comes from here. Subsequent events, the different types of subsequent events, what are adjusting, non-adjusting, how you define them, examples of adjusting and non-adjusting, what is auditor responsibility for events after the balance sheet date up to the date of the audit report. So responsibilities of the auditor is also covered within this article. So this is a list of 8 articles which I've carefully chosen from the website, and the hyperlink is here. If you can just type on the Google F8 technical articles and you will find the link of that, but you can also copy this hyperlink in the browser and reach the destination. So 8 articles within 30 days is not a difficult situation. Even if you read one article in 3 days, you can still fit 8 articles within the 30 days you are left with ahead of your exam. But this is articles which definitely add value to your AA preparation. The third area, my webinars. Now, already some of my webinars are available, which I've done for September 22 exams and June 22 exams, and you can explore them on my YouTube channel. And I will be uploading my December 22 webinar on the YouTube channel as well. Just to give you a relevance of my YouTube channel, you can go to my YouTube channel and you can just go to the homepage of my YouTube channel. And within that, you will go down and down and down the very last series of videos. The first is the AAA, then it's the SPL, and you go down, you will find the last videos. Look at the title of the last videos, AA Webinar to Success Digital Library. All the videos I've done for AA in the prior months are put here. So the total of like 7 videos, and a further 3 will come for December exam. So that will make it a total of 10 videos. So you have 7 videos to watch, which will really give you a fine tuning ahead of your exams. So please do take time out watching these videos from my YouTube channel, which is the previous webinars. Okay, back to what we were discussing. So recent webinars will play an important part when you're devising your exam strategy. Then practice. This is a key area, right? And practice holds the key, definitely. Within the 30 days left, I think most of the time should be spent on practicing. But the question is how much you should be practicing. 10 papers, 15 papers, the whole revision kit. And how much, but how? How you should be practicing. What is the best way to practice the past papers to bring something out of them? Let's address this issue. First of all, within the 30 days left, your focus has to be on the practice platform. You're not looking into revision kits, you're not looking into PDF documents, you are going directly on the practice platform and you're exploring papers on the practice platform. So your focus would be just to go on the practice platform, which is right here on your screen. And within this practice platform, you scroll down and you look at the AA paper, audit and assurance. You click audit and assurance and you get ACCA official resources. You click on ACCA official resources and you have 3 categories of official resources. The first is the past exam library. Now, ACCA has given you 4 papers in the past exam library, 1 from 20, 2 from 21, and 1 from 22. So 4 papers, this is a must. Then you go to the practice exam. You have 2 practice exams, 1 and 2, and then the mock exam has been issued by ACCA for December. And this is the mock exam which you will be doing ideally on the 1st or 2nd of December, just 2 or 3 days before your actual exam. Once you've completed everything, once you have attained confidence, once you know that you know AA very well, then you will sit down with the mock exam, not before that, 1st or 2nd December. So in total, we have 4 past exams and we have 2 practice exams, that's 6. 1 exam we have is mock, that is 7. And then there is a specimen exam, 8. So 8 exam papers within 30 days. This is your priority. If you are done with it and you want to do more, then you can do as many you want to do more. But this is the 8, which is the must at this point in time, which will give you a real confidence on the section B of the paper. Because within these 8 papers here, you will find a question on risk, you will find a question on internal control, you will find a question on substantive procedure, you will find a question on audit report, going concern, subsequent event. So eventually those core areas would be very well tuned from this 8 exams on your screen currently. And out of those 8, 1 is mock, and the mock will be done on the 1st and 2nd. So ideally 7 papers to be done by the end of November. So that's not a big list, right? So once again, the 4 past exams, 2 practice exam, 1 specimen exam, and you have 1 mock exam, which is to be done after the 1st of December. So that sets the list of things you have right over here. Now, one confusion which the student normally have is, for example, you're attempting a paper on the practice platform and you're writing the answer. And then you did all the questions. And at the end of all the questions, there is an option end exam. You end the exam. The moment you end the exam and you want to see how you wrote an answer, and is your answer worthy? How many marks will you get for this answer? How to evaluate my answer with the examiner answer? How would you go about doing it? I hope you all know that, but if you don't, this is something important for you. You can see this page, the practice platform page, and right on the left-hand side, you can find on the top hand side of the screen on the left, home, mark, result, performance. So you are in the home bracket. Now, once you've completed the paper, once you've end the exam, you will go to the mark option. And in the mark option, there is a self-marking option. The paper you have completed will automatically come under self-marking. And you can then open the paper you have ended And you will look at your answer, and on the left-hand side, you will look at the examiner answer. And then you can relate how many of your points reconciled with examiner points, were your points worthy, how much you will score on these points, 1 or 0.5. You can automatically give yourself marks as well. There's an option to mark your paper as well. Same goes with mock exam. Once you complete the mock exam, you can find the answer of the mock exam in the mark area. So once you end your mock exam, your mock answer will come here in the mark area. And then in the mark area, you can mark yourself knowing, okay, what you write good or what you write bad. So this mark area, the self-marking area, is a very, very good advantage which the student can take on marking their scripts, evaluating where they get 1, where they get 0.5, where their answer relate with examiner, so on and so forth. So please ensure you are spending your most of the time on the practice platform. That's extremely important. The more time you spend from now onwards to the practice platform is crucial. So how much you practice, I've already made that clear. There are 4 past exams. There are 2 practice exams, and there is 1 specimen exam, that is 7, and then there is 1 mock exam, 8. So there are 4 past exams. There are 3 practice exams, including mock, and there is 1 specimen exam, 1 specimen exam. So that will take the list to 8 papers. So this is all what you need to do. But the order would be the mock will be done at the end. So first you complete the past exams, then you come down to the practice exams 1 and 2, then you go down to the specimen exam, and finally you do the mock exam. Now the last thing, is there a right technique to practice? Now when you're practicing, when you're writing the answers, ensure you're writing the full answers because the papers are not much. So you're writing the full answers, you're writing the full answers, you're writing the full answers. Yes, for example, you've done 1 question on risk, you've done a 2nd question on risk, you've done a 3rd question on risk, and you say, oh, I'm fine with risk. When you look at the 4th question on risk, you can just write the answer, you can just jot the points just to see, okay, am I writing the right points? You're not writing the paragraph, you're just jotting the points just to ensure, okay, you're picking up the risk and you know how to explain it. Just jot the points rather than writing a full answer if you have attained a confidence level. But I would prefer that 50% of the answers, 50% of the past papers of the total 8 are written in full. For the remaining 50%, depending upon your confidence level, you can just jot the points just to quickly overcome the practice area ahead of your exam. But if you want to write full answers for all 8, you will do it. Mock exam will be written in full, right? Mock exam will be written in full. No excuse on that. Now, once you've written the answer, how would you judge is your answer good or bad? Now, one problem with student is they try to reconcile their answer with examiner answer. They're not reconciling the point with the examiner point. This is a big difference. See, if I and you picked up a same risk, a risk like a risk in inventory valuation, you picked the risk inventory valuation, I picked the risk inventory valuation. But the way I will be explaining the risk of inventory valuation and the way you will be explaining the risk on inventory valuation, or the way the 3rd student, 4th student, 5th student will be explaining the risk on inventory valuation and the examiner explaining the risk on inventory valuation, we will all have a different perspective and a way of writing. Now that can never match. But what is the examiner looking for? The examiner is looking for you picked up the right risk, and then the examiner is looking at your perspective of explaining it. Now, if you picked up the right risk, you're still fetching 0.5 marks. But your perspective of explaining the risk, there might be some flaws in that. Or the way you explained the risk is perfect, so you will get the remaining half as well. But what you need to reconcile, you need to reconcile your points with examiner point, not your answer with examiner answer. That will never, never, never reconcile. Examiner answers are tutorial guidance. Examiner writes more than the number of points. If examiner wants you to identify 8 risks, examiner will write in the answer 12 risks because he wants to give you guidance that these were the possible risks in the case study out of which you could have investigated 8. So examiner answers are lengthy. If examiner gives you 6 marks, and for 6 marks you need to write 6 audit procedures, examiner will write 10. But you cannot just get idealized with examiner answers, because you need to stick to the marking scheme. You need to identify the number of points which you should within the exam time pressure. So reconcile your points. At the end of the examiner answers, there is a marking scheme. And in the marking scheme, the examiner has given the points. So you can just reconcile the points in the marking scheme with your points. Even if 50% of the points given in the examiner answer reconcile with your answer, you're writing wonderful answer. Because again, examiner do mention that credit will be given for any other point which is not mentioned in the points given by the examiner, because there can be more points, more perspective to a case study which examiner has not taken in. So it is a theoretical paper where there is a greater subjectivity. So everything you write needs to be justified to fetch marks. So reconcile yourself with examiner points which are given in the marking scheme, not reconciling yourself with the examiner answer where the frustration level or the demotivation level goes up rather than creating an optimism and a motivation level. So if you want to create a motivation level, then reconciling the points with the points will add value. Practice the papers I've just recommended on the platform. Try to ensure you're writing the full answers, and you will be very good on the section B of the paper. And attempting the mock is must, but should be attempted after the 1st of December. As near to your actual exam would be good. Okay, now practice holds the key. That's key for the last 30 days you have ahead of your exams. But a more important thing now is when you look at the pass rates for AA, they're not very good, especially when you look at the passing rates going below 40s, 39, 38, 39. But yes, when you look at these passing rates like 44 and 44, it's quite soothing that that at least things are looking better. But AA is a challenging paper. And till the time you don't know why students fail, you will be doing the same mistake in your actual exam sitting. How would you investigate why students fail in the AA paper? What student do wrong? Why they don't get 50 marks? Even after attempting a good paper, the student fail. Why? You need to investigate the reasons, otherwise you will be doing the same problem in your upcoming December exam. And where is the source of investigation? Not just writing answers, not just reconciling your answer with examiner answer, the source of the problem, the source of the issue, how would you surpass the 50 marks is here. Examiner reports is a mind opener. You need to investigate examiner reports, and I'll just be showing you that. I've given the hyperlink here where you can reach the examiner reports, and I'll be showing you realistically where examiner reports are. You just type on the Google F8 examiner report and you get the first link with F8 examiner reports, and you can browse them. 3 examiner reports. I've written over here at least 2, but I would say 3. 3 recent one. I'll show you the 3 recent one. You just need to download them, and at any lean time, for example, you're going to bed, and just like in 30 minutes, 40 minutes before you sleep, you just read the examiner reports just to investigate why students fail in the AA paper. Keep a pen and paper with you, jot down the points, jot down why students fail. Try to identify the criticism of the examiner from the examiner report. Examiner criticize student constructively. Examiner also give you suggestions. Examiner also give you encouraging feedback that this is what you can do. Examiner gives you examples of substantive procedure. Examiner gives you example of a test of control. Examiner give you example of a risk. And even at times, examiner draft a risk for you that this is how you should have drafted. So there's a lot of encouraging material within the examiner report, which can just be a mind opener. The examples, the suggestions, the feedback, the criticism, the negative criticism, the positive criticism, and that all add value and help you investigate why students fail in a AA paper. If you are capable of identifying that by keeping a pen and paper with you and underlining when you're reading an exam report, wherever you get something good, underline that in green. Where you get a suggestion, where you get encouraging feedback, where examiner gives you an example of how to write something, underline that in green. Where you get something negative, that students should not do this, underline that in red. and then make a list of the do's and don'ts for every examiner report, and that will really add value to the answer you are writing. So if you are attempting an answer on the practice platform of a March June 22 paper, and once you've wrote the answer for March June 22 paper, and even before you evaluate your answer with the examiner answer, you will first evaluate your answer with the March June 22 examiner report. And you will see, okay, what is the examiner telling me the student did good and bad with the question on audit risk? Is the examiner telling something bad about audit risk, which I have also done? Is the examiner telling something good about audit risk, which I have also done? What is the examiner telling about procedures? Is the examiner telling us this is the wrong procedure? And have I written that procedure in my list as well? So you can reconcile yourself with examiner feedback on a question on audit risk, on a question on internal control, on a question on audit report, on a question on procedures. And you can see, okay, in my answer, have I done something which the examiner don't like? And if there is something in your answer which the examiner don't like, put a cross. And you're learning, okay, that the next time I'll do the March June 19 paper, I will not do this. So examiner reports can really be a mind opener for you if you give time to them, you learn from them, you identify the do's and don'ts, you investigate your answer with the examiner report, and you try to find where you went wrong. Because if you identify where you went wrong, you will not be repeating the same on the 5th of December. But if you don't know what you are doing wrong, and you go to the 5th of December, you will fail. So it's better to investigate 3 examiner reports when you're attempting past papers on the practice platform. Just let me show you that where you can find these examiner reports. Right over here, you can find the examiner reports. I would prefer that on the practice platform when you're doing the March June 22 paper, because that's available. You can then evaluate the March June 22 report. When you're doing the September December 21 paper, you will evaluate the examiner report for September December 21, because this paper is available on the platform. March June 21 paper is also available on the platform. So once you write the answer for March June 21, evaluate yourself with the examiner report. So these are 3 minimum examiner reports. If you write answers of the 3 paper, and before you evaluate the examiner answer, you evaluate your own answer in light of the examiner report, 3 of them, you will find a remarkable difference. Now, the 4th answer you will write will not have the don'ts of the examiner. So because you will be learning from the 3 examiner reports, the don'ts of audit risk, the don'ts of audit procedure, the don'ts of audit report, the don'ts of internal controls. So the 4th time you write an answer on these areas, you will not be repeating the mistake. So try to learn the weaknesses from the examiner reports and relate them with your answer. This will really add value to the way you write answer and will improve your chances of success in the upcoming exam settings. So please ensure you do find time out reading 3 examiner reports alongside the answers you have written. And at times, the student don't explore examiner reports, honestly. I've talked to so many AA students. They say, oh, we have read the BPP book, we've read the Kaplan book, we've done the revision kit. That is it. They're not spending time on the resources given by ACCA. They're not even reading articles. No. They're not even reading examiner reports. The best they can do is they read the examiner answer and then get demotivated. But the good resources, you're ignoring them. The resources which really add value to me is articles and exam reports, and the students are ignoring. And the past papers available on the practice platform. So this is how you can devise your strategy, right? Okay. My December webinar will be available by the 20th of November. And it will focus on techniques to enhance the answer quality, how you can write a good answer for audit risk, internal control, audit report. So again, that would be a blending of the examiner reports. How can you write an answer closer to examiner positive feedback rather than negative feedback? I will be investigating the March June 22 paper, and I will be investigating the March June 22 examiner report as well within my webinar. So that could really benefit you if you can watch it later. So please ensure the areas marked in this strategy, which includes core areas, practice exams, mock exam, going over the articles, ensuring you watch my previous webinars, examiner report, and the December 22 webinar. The 6 areas are carefully incorporated in your study strategy for AA paper. You can follow my YouTube channel because again, the December webinar will come here as well as the previous webinars. You can follow me on my Facebook page, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and you can join this WhatsApp group because this WhatsApp group will keep you updated for all the tips and techniques. You can interact with other students. The other students can help you out as well. So this is a wonderful study group, and the study group will benefit you because I'm in this group as well. So if any question is being asked, the student can reply it to you. And if a student answer is wrong, I can at least correct it. So this is how you can follow me on my social media. And just again, reminder that your exams are just 30 days away. And this is the pie chart of what should be part of an ideal study strategy, which you should be focusing on, considering your challenges and constraints within the next 30 days. So this is Kashif Kamran signing off from from a session where we were devising strategy for the AA inside 30 days remaining. I wish you all a very best of luck and success. Implement a strategy and execute it wonderfully. Take care. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz.